Good morning, friend. Welcome back to the Morning Minute Meditation. I appreciate you dropping by on this fine morning, and I'm praying that the Lord will bless you in a rich way. My interest as of late has been in the area of the business of unity and how important unity is. I preached on it yesterday on 2 occasions in our church. As we spoke about unity, one of the things that we found out was that it was only used 3 times in the scriptures. The first, of course, is the most famous of all in the Old Testament in Psalm 133 and verse 1, where the Bible said how blessed and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Then he uses 2 illustrations. It's like the ointment that was poured upon the head, even Aaron's head ran down to the skirts of his garments. And then it was like the dew of Hermon that descended into the valley of drought and ministered to the needs of the crops there. Unity is essential for anything to be accomplished. You will not have a championship team in any sport, regardless of what it might be, without unity among its players and staff. It's important. You will not have success in business without unity in the staff. And so with the church, if there is going to be any spiritual success, regardless of size, it has to do with the unity of the individuals there. Now, unity is not always uniformity because we're always different. Every one of us are different. In the New Testament, he spoke about it in this fashion. He said in Ephesians chapter number 4 that we're to endeavor to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. In other words, you cannot have unity if there is no peace and comfort, and if there is no comfortability there in the place where you are gathered together to worship. If there is fighting, infighting, and contention, you will not have any unity whatsoever, because unity is directly tied to this bond of peace that we have as believers. Now, then in Ephesians 4, he made the statement about that God gave some evangelists and prophets and pastors and teachers for the work of the ministry and for the help of the body of Christ. And then he said this, until we all come into unity. So for the believer, unity is directly connected to the local church and to the leadership of the local church. And if the leadership is living in disunity, then the congregation can't either. That's why the Apostle Peter made this statement. He said that for a pastor, he is to take charge, take leadership, take the rule of the church. He said not by constraint, but willingly. In other words, he said if there's going to be a proper biblical church, the pastor's got to step forward. He's got to take the leadership role of the church, but he has to do it willingly. He cannot force it upon the church. If he tries to force it upon the church, then it becomes a conglomerated mess. So there is that to consider. Now, unity, I said a minute ago, is not always uniformity. In other words, being exactly alike. None of us are stamped out exactly the same. We are not of that fashion. Every one of us are unique individuals. So let's take the illustration of a great big snow. As I was growing up as a kid, we used to get 3 and 4 foot snows. It was not uncommon to have a foot of snow with great regularity. It wasn't uncommon for the river to freeze over, and such would be the case in the place where I live. Not now, but it was when I was a boy. Now, one thing about snow that I have found is this. You look at one snowfall and you considered the fact that, man, we had snow in the singular fashion, but it was multiplied millions of flakes that fell. Every one of those flakes, though white and though its molecular consistency was the same, every one of those flakes were different, just like the thumbprint on your hand compared to mine. Well, each of us individually have our own print of thumb and fingers. So when a snowflake falls, it's different from every other snowflake. But once they stick together in unity, it is amazing what will happen. One snowflake hits the ground, it melts and goes away. But millions of them in unity hit the ground and they paralyze an entire city. And so it's important to realize that as we go along the way today, we need to consider that we are one part in a great big work that God is doing, and that we need to be in our place, in our position, in unity with the body that Christ has put us in. Consider these things today, friend, and have yourself a great day.